What do you got? Audio working. Audio is working. Is audio working? Yeah, I think it's working. I'm going to run you through a bit of what I did to rebuild this back wall. You can't even see. I'm going to get a chair because we're settling in for the long haul. I did mention in that last video that these were going down. These were quite rusted. The flanges below weren't 100%, but they weren't too bad as in these lower sections. But I thought, well, I'm replacing that. Let's do the whole thing. So it's a whole fresh edge. Also, I had in my mind that if the radius wasn't 100% correct on this fold, it may have been noticeable, or I may have had to remove more material on one or the other to make it look good. So now it's a consistent edge. I folded it on that folder, but then I actually ran it through the bead roller to make sure it's awesome to have in here, that 2400 long, so you can fold a full sheet, but it's not 100% accurate. It's got a slight bow in it, so when I folded these, it wasn't too bad because they're only a meter of 1100-ish, but when you do a full 1200 sheet, it does have a little bow in it, and I just haven't had the time to work out how to rectify that problem. So I ran these through the bead roller after I folded it on that. That way I had a consistent edge, which was a good move, I believe. So before I did any cutting of any flanges, I made sure I had a width. 1432 was outside of flange to outside of flange. So hooked on here with your tape was across there. So I know I needed to keep that width because I haven't altered anything with my windshield. So all of that is the same size as a factory G60, which is a little bit crazy that is the case going on and around a GQ floor pan and firewall. It saves widening the whole car, so you have bonnet, windshield, back wall, roof. Yeah, I'm lengthening things. If I had to do it sideways as well, it's just more work, so that's a good thing. Anyway, back on track. So I knew my width had to stay the same, so I put a center line here, center of the back wall, and a straight edge from side to side at the bottom, and square lines up each side. I put them in at 100 mil, because then you just know that you've got to add 100 mil. 100 mil is a round number. It's easy to work out in your head. I scribed a line up the panel on both sides. You probably won't be able to see that on there, but yeah. So after I cut it, I knew what it needed to be back at, rather than cutting it and then thinking, shit, what does that need to be again? Now I've also got to take into consideration the blade thickness that I cut with. So I knew it. Stayed ahead of the game with that. I also did the same thing with the height as well before I cut that. And that is here somewhere, 1.72 m and 1432 wide. Once I cut them, ripped them off, cut all the rust out to where it was good original metal, and then obviously cut a piece of flat sheet out and folded that right down there, and it was full width. So this section here was like 200. But you don't cut yourself short and then realise you don't have enough material. So folded that piece right down. Didn't need to cut this out. I reckon in hindsight I probably should have just continued that new steel right the way down. I think that would have stopped the issues, because I had to do a bit of heat shrinking here, because this was, and it's come up really nice actually. This was really tin canny, like there's a little bit in there still, but it was quite bad, like really bad actually, as far as I'm aware. So I reckon the main reason it did that was because I had this horizontal weld in here. I reckon, which would be interesting to do a bit of a test run, but I reckon if I made that just cut that whole side out and continue that straight down, I reckon it would have eliminated that a fair bit. Who knows now? I don't need to redo it because I've got it all out. I've got the material back to where I need it. So yeah, I basically got my my folded flange sheet and sat it underneath it and just C-clamped it all together so it was sitting there sturdy. It wasn't moving around. And then I scribed the because this piece was sitting underneath the original, scribed down my cut line and then took it, unclamped it and cut this piece. I've watched a lot of YouTube on panel beating. Jap Hands, Make It Custom. He's really good. He just explains things in layman terms and I just understand him. He does some pretty cool stuff as well. He's always said, and a lot of, I always hear like panel beaters say, like the better you get your panel fitment, the easier everything is. So I'm learning that because to start with you think, oh yeah, that's good enough. And then the more and more precise you get, the easier it is in the long run. So from the first one I did, it wasn't awesome, more and more filler, not heaps, but you're putting a bit more filler rod in when you're tigging it. Second one, you're using less and less filler rod and it's just really, really nice to clean up and yeah, just a better product. Also, the reason why I'm using a TIG and not a MIG, and with a MIG you want to leave like a mil gap, there's actually panel alignment tools, that little clamps that you can, I've used on my bonnet, I think it was. No, it was in my A-pillar section. With MIGging, you can't really planish it as nice as, well, that's what I've sort of found and from what I've kind of heard. You can't really planish it. It's almost like it's not real steel, or it's not like mild steel when you've finished with the MIG. TIG seems to be just nicer to work afterwards. Like you dolly it up nicer, and it feels like you just got metal there again. I haven't looked into if that's fact or not, so don't go roasting me in the comments. But that's what it feels like to me. So that's why I've been tigging everything, and I really, really enjoy it. It's therapeutic. It's nice and quiet. It's a nice skill to get good at. So I enjoy it more than I do MIG welding. MIG's great for structural and stuff like that because it's quick and it's it's easy. But yeah, I'm quite enjoying the TIG welding. So after both sides were tacked on, yeah, I basically got that panel like flat. So one to the other, there is not even like, you run your hand over it and if you had your eyes shut because the panel fitment's really nice, you can't tell that you're even moving over a joint in the sheet. Like it's perfect. And if you tack it and it wasn't, you can just get a dolly and a hammer and just a light tap on the weld and it will just generally squash that panel, that weld, and it will just make your panel sit really nice. But yeah, pretty happy how the second and the top went on all that. So I also checked that my back wall was square. It's I'm a carpenter by trade, so it's a pretty general thing to do whenever you're making anything, pretty well anything. You always check whether things are square and correct. So cross corners, make sure your widths are the same top and bottom, and your heights are the same top and bottom. And then if your cross corner measurements are the same as well, you've got a perfectly square shape, perfectly square rectangle or square. So that's all pretty straightforward, even for a novice like myself, I think, unless I've forgotten something drastic, then yeah, shoot me a comment down below. But the one that took a little bit of time for me, because I don't have a bead roller, like a die for the bead roller that cuts this, that rolls this this window flange. So that section there, I've just sprayed some black etch on it so it doesn't rust in the interim. Don't ask me why I've done that to some and not the other, but that's what I did. So on the bead roller, I got a heap of dies with it. It's a Metal Master from General Tools or Machinery Warehouse or whatever it is. So now this took me quite a few goes because I'm a rookie. Excuse the noise as well. But I made a few test bits, and I was pretty thankful that I think I would have gone about it a different way if I had to do a heap more than just 300 mil. But yeah, I basically, you know, I've got a heap of offcuts and stuff of panel steel under the gillo over there, so it's a good way to just have a bit of a play around. And I also wanted to do it myself because I bought the gear to do it. Why outsource it? And you know, you might as well learn a skill. So these dies are for rolling, well, beads into panel steel, but I thought the radius on these was pretty close to what I initially wanted. It's hard to show you. Effectively, I had I rolled this. Yeah, that's the one. I rolled this one into that, like there, to a certain depth. It wasn't quite as deep as this. This is just my little bit of ridge cap I made up for no reason at all. And then I've got the correct, after 2 or 3 goes, the correct distance away from that one, set the fence up on the bead roller, and then changed the dies over to this smaller radius one, and then effectively made, well, that profile. I wouldn't say it is 100% correct, but given that this is obviously the outside of the panel, given that this is completely concealed by the back windscreen glass rubber, that covers right down to here sort of thing. So yeah, it's not 100% basically, which I'm almost ashamed to admit, but and I will probably just cut this out, run a cut down there and weld that back up, because it's got a bit of a flex in it. Like when I thought I was all over it and had it finished, I sighted down it. Oh, that could probably, excuse me, that could probably be a little bit tweaked. So this isn't finished, this panel, but all the rust is gone basically. I've also left, I'll just show you down below. Also, I haven't touched these little wings. They will be different because I need to get down to bottom of sill height on these. So I'll take them off and yeah, pretty well create new ones. It won't be a purist's vehicle, obviously. So if a G60 purist is driving behind me, they'll be like, those triangles, they're not the right dimensions, because they need to meet. The G60 didn't really have a sill panel. You sort of open the door and you've just got the inside of the car. So I'm building with a sill panel, as you know, because you would have seen me fold them up. So that piece will go down to, I'll show you, it's right here. That's the wrong one, but we'll get the right one. So with my sill panel here, door shuts to my B-pillar, and then this is where my quarter panels, now this is still to confirmed. It will be obviously past this body mount, but this is a little bit to be confirmed. This will be stretched a fraction, like I've said, this panel here, but effectively the curve will be somewhere there. This will sit somewhere here. So that's where this will need to be extended down to the sill, and it sort of have a funny little taper with a round and whatever. I'm looking forward to doing that actually. And then that back triangle, because this will end up down here, sort of thing. That back triangle will also meet down there. That's why I've just sort of cut them and moved them out of the way. So that is a little bit about the back wall. What I still need to do is final bit of planishing with it, just to make sure all my welds are flat. Like I'm running my hand along that now, and that I still need to give that a bit of a tap. Obviously clean the whole thing up. I've got some top hat. This was a time-saving exercise getting this. So this is from a company called Rondo. They do like suspended ceilings in commercial buildings and stuff. In the last video I said I needed some top hat because I couldn't be stuffed rolling some. This is what I've got. I'm not stoked with it, but it will do the trick, and it's not going to be visible in anything. It's just got this dimple on top I don't really want. I'm probably being fussy. I'll give you a closer look at that. It's just got this dimple that I didn't show that on the website. It showed exactly what I wanted on the website, but this is what we got. I'm going to use that for quite a bit of it throughout the build because there's quite a few flat panels. Also, G60 from factory didn't come out with any bracing on underneath the roof. I want to. Couple reasons why. We need to strengthen it. Like, you've just got a big floppy tin can if you don't have any bracing or any structure to it. Hence why this had some. And another reason, and I've just been losing sleep at night thinking about this other shit, but I want to future-proof it as well. This will likely have some form of 12-volt setup on it. So maybe a slimline lithium, potentially, it's going to go on trips. So I need to have a dual battery. And I don't want it to be the flashiest thing getting around with espresso machines and shit like that. It's quite the opposite to that, in fact. But it will have things, what I'm getting at is, that will be mounted to this back wall. So I've even gone to the thought process of even putting riv nuts, like nut inserts, into the channel, before paint and everything, so that it all looks nice and factory that way, instead of trying to get a nut or a self-tapping screw into it or something. It's pretty shit way of fixing things into a car. If I put a series of nut inserts into that channel, the top hat, I think that would be a good move. If they get used, all sweet. If not, who cares? Like, they're there for the future. Also want to do that on the roof, well, the inside the roof, for structure and for potential mountings. I love the Grenadier's cockpit style switches up there. They're a bloody cool, a good use of space, and it looks fucking cool. So that's also a thought process when we get to interior and electrical. But if you want to do that sort of stuff, you need to think about it now, not when you want to run some wires, because you've got nothing but a roof skin. You're not going to put a rib nut into that because you'll have water coming in and you'll see this dicky rib nut sticking out the top of your roof. So that is pretty well it. I think we've covered most of this back wall stuff. There's still work to do, but it's pretty well, there's surface rust and whatever. The rest of it's pretty structurally good. So yeah, thanks for watching. If you can, throw a subscribe. You would have seen that these videos are probably taking a little bit of a turn. I'm just pumping them out now. I'm going to try and do one a week, maybe even two a week. They're going to be quick. They're not going to be professional. They're going to be very casual. But I think it might be the best way about doing these build videos, because if someone's interested about following along, you want to see content. So that's what I'm trying to bring you. Thanks again. See you on the next one.